My first guest grew up in this part of the country. She left to become a movie and television star. 4 Emmys, 1 Oscar later. She's back today. Please welcome Ms. Cloris Leachman. Hello, Cloris. How are you?
Hello,
nice to see you here. Where exactly did you grow up?
Right on Route 6.
Right there on the road, huh?
In a little, well, yes, right back from the road on an acreage at 5017 Hubbell Avenue.
Uh-huh.
And it was east of Des Moines, about 3 miles, and just before Altoona.
Altoona?
Yes, talking to the moose's head, I know.
Altoona being Altoona, Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize there was an Altoona. There's an Altoona, Pennsylvania, you know.
I don't even think I was ever in Altoona, but I remember the field kids lived down about 3/4 of a mile down.
Was the topography anything like what we have here?
There was no hill like that I remember. It was more rolling.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is quite beautiful.
Yeah, this is a view out of one of the living room windows here. This is just wonderful. I think we'll do this show from these people's home every day.
I think so.
We'll get you a motel on the outskirts of town. How old were you when you left Iowa? Can I ask you that? I guess I can.
Well, let's see. I went to Northwestern when I was 15.
15? A college kid at
summer,
15?
As a cherub.
Uh-huh.
Then I got a scholarship to Northwestern later to go to college. So I guess when I was about 18, I left, and I went back every once in a while.
Do you sometimes miss being in Iowa? I talked to some people yesterday, and they pretty committed to staying here.
Well, this house is a lot warmer than ours was. I remember I used to just stand by the hot air register and say, "Oh, Mama, it's so cold." And she'd say, "Get to work." So I didn't complain too much. Or I'd go down and shovel coal in the furnace once in a while. But it was cold. Yeah. And we slept in an unheated attic upstairs. 3 little girls. I was the oldest. And we'd go up this little tiny stairway to the attic, and the window was always wide open, and the snow would come in. We'd have the pee-pee bucket there.
The what?
There wasn't a bathroom.
I'm sorry, what did Cloris said what? What did Cloris say?
Last one down, bring the bucket, and I was always the last one down, of course. That bucket was up there for days. I remember we tried to sell it. No, it's all right.
Who emptied the bucket?
Well, once in a while my mother would go up there and rescue us, but I did, if I remembered, I did.
Yeah. Do we have, does that ring a bell with anyone here?
No, you're all well situated. We lived in a little brown shingle house. My father was part of the Leachman Lumber Company in Des Moines, and there are a lot of little Leachman still there, all growing up, more generations. And my mother wanted a house with a chimney up the front, and so he drew a little house on a piece of brown wrapping paper, and the house was built from that. It wasn't even, there weren't even any plans for it, and it was a little brown shingle house set back.
Did you ever do any professional show business stuff when you were a kid in Iowa?
Mm-hmm. It didn't seem like that, though. It didn't seem like showbiz, or it just. I think the fortunate thing for me was that everything seemed appropriate to my age and not forced or pushed in any way. There'd be a dancing lesson once a week in Des Moines, and then a piano lesson once a week. And, the Andy Williams and his brothers were little kids. Andy was about a year younger than I was, and so I had a crush on his next older brother, Dick, who was a year older than I.
They're also from Iowa?
And they would come out for a picnic once in a while with their aunt, with whom I took piano lessons, you see, Cornelia Williams Hurlbut, who was still teaching in Des Moines.
Cornelia Williams Hurlbut.
Yes. Yes. And what else? Oh, so I'd ride the streetcar once in a while. Well,
streetcars, I guess, are long gone, aren't they?
To get into town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember it must have been during the Depression or after the Depression when I was very struck after living so isolated out in the country till I was 7 years old, and then began to go to school and do other things and take lessons, that there were so many, it was just all gray on the streetcar. Everybody was a gray person.
What is it, not enough
dead or dying,
vitamin C
vitamins or whatever, or maybe it was hard, I don't know, but I do remember making a promise to myself, if I ever grew up and got rich, I would give money to anybody who would smile.
Oh, is that?
And I also...
I'll be darned.
Gee, later.
I thought maybe you'd start a telethon for gray people. We have to pause.
But I think,
here,
anyway, my biggest decision in my life that determined my whole life was that I was determined never to be ground down into a gray person by anybody or anything or life or anything.
Well, I
like
think
that.
you've achieved that.
I think.
You are not a gray person.
Well, I'm...
No, you're bubbly, effervescent, ebullient, and full of life.
And thank you.
Yes. We have to pause for a commercial, and we're going to make her a gray person.
We lived out on a pasture with a...
Yeah, your house?
Yeah, Mom used to make a picnic for us out in the back and show my sister wet her pants.
Your sister wet her did what?
Well, I was seeing the view here from our kitchen window. One of the two lovely things I remember. One of them was the sun streaming in the kitchen, that Iowa sun. And then sometimes my mother, who had this great big cooker, oh, she took it everywhere. I have so many things to tell you. No, but anyway, the view out the back window was this acreage where we lived, and then a pasture and a stream and some cows, which weren't ours, but we had the advantage of that. And sometimes my mother would make us a picnic lunch. And those 3 pans that came in the cooker, one would be filled with spaghetti and one had some cake and something else, and we'd take it out and put it in the crook of the tree out in the pasture. But this one time... You
take the spaghetti out and put it in the tree?
Well, it was in these 3 pans with the tops on them. But I remember my cousins live right next door, too, another Leachman family. And
Iowa is
my
crawling
sister,
with Leachmans, huh?
Crawling. My sister wet her pants and the spaghetti fell out of the tree and the chocolate pudding. I mean, we all had to come home in disarray. And
what was I going to ask you? What do you like to do for fun? You ever get drunk or anything?
Now? What do I... Or then?
Yeah, now.
For fun. Gosh. I don't separate fun from work. I know that much. It's all fun.
Yeah.
If it isn't, then I think I'm doing something wrong. I mean, if you don't fill out every thing you do and make the most of it, it could be awfully boring or disappointing or worrisome. I mean, you'd think, what's it all for? I think it's, I suppose, just to connect with each other and, you know, like dogs do. You sort of sniff around, you know, you're doing okay, and how you're black, you're white, you're spotted, you're tall, you're short, and what are we going to, you know, let's get this accomplished or solve this or pep this one up or, you know.
So you just sort of go through life sniffing.
Yeah, I think that's true. I was engaged once to this wonderful young man, but he said moderation in all things, and I thought, oh, no, that would be a dull life.
That's
Too
no
bad.
fun,
He was a good one. But he said all he ever remembered of me was combing my hair and blowing my nose. So I guess sniffing through life would probably be pretty accurate.
Well, those aren't real fond memories, but...
Well, I was allergic to everything in Iowa, I remember. A lot of hay fever. But I got over that.
Speaking of allergic, how do you like the motel?
Oh. Well, the marvelous thing is... as you walk in, there's this long, long hallway. Once you start toward the rooms, there's this long, long, long hallway with squares of wallpaper all the way along, different wallpaper. And as we got to the rooms, we realized that was left over from the rooms, and so they're utilized in sort of panels. Well,
this is not a motel in Cresco. We must point that out now. This is down the road and way down the road.
Yeah, but I want you to know I slept very well and sorely needed it. I've been traveling a lot.
It was curious. Every time the elevator would go up or down, my entire room would vibrate viciously. I think my room may have been at one time an elevator. At any rate, your daughter Dinah is here. Now,
daughter Dinah.
Dinah. Now, why did you drag Dinah along? Was she eager to come back to Iowa?
I'm coming here by myself? Well,
Let's introduce Dinah.
Tuck Dinah in my back pocket.
How old is Dinah? Come on out here.
Dinah, did you decide
Dinah
to be
England,
14 or 15? For
heaven's sakes, don't bust anything. These are...
Well, don't bust anything, for heaven's sakes.
Dinah, how are you? You having any fun here?
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you get older?
I think dance.
Yeah? Are you taking some dance classes and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrific. I'm real happy to meet you, Dinah, and I'm glad you came along with your mom. Now, you guys are going to hang around, right? You're going to be here for the rest of the show?
Well, I hope so. I want some of that good dinner I smell
Okay.
cooking out there.
I think we can accommodate you there. Cloris Leachman and her daughter, Rich Hall, will be joining us right after this.